Welcome back, everybody, to the Retrograde right here on Dead Jester Cinema. After this bit of a holiday layoff that I took for myself, I wanted to try to tweak a little bit of the Retrograde because I wasn't quite satisfied with the rate at which I was getting these out, and I felt like the videos were getting just a little too long and a little too kind of over bloated. So I wanted to try to scale it back a little bit and focus it more on talking about the movie itself rather than, going through the entire movie, as it were, and then breaking it down from there, because I feel like that's what was really kind of weighing the videos down. And just to try to consolidate a little bit more, we're going to get right to the point of my opinions on the movies, and we'll see how it goes. And I would like your guys' feedback on that. So, watch this video and then just let me know what you think in the comments. If you like the old way better, or if you kind of like this new sort of speedier version of it. But other than that, nothing else has changed. I will still break this movie down into 4 categories. Instead of plot, we're going to go with story, because plot is what is in the story, where, when I looked at it, I'm talking more about the story itself. So we're going to be breaking it down to story, characters, direction, and music. And then I will give a letter grade to each of those categories, and then I will combine those grades into one cumulative score for the entire film. And on this edition of the Retrograde, we're going to be looking at the 2013 film Curse of Chucky. The movie centers around Nika, who lives with her mom in a big spooky house in the middle of nowhere, when a mysterious package arrives one day which turns out to be Chucky. The mom dies by accidental causes, leaving Nika by herself. And when the rest of the family arrives to pay their respects and act as genuine assholes, shenanigans ensue. So how does this film shake out? Well, let's go break this sucker down.
Chucky, I'm scared.
You fucking should be.
First off, let me say I really do like the tone and the feel of this movie. To me, it really keeps in line with that look and feel of the original Child's Play films. And more so the original than parts 2 and 3. Especially coming off of Bride of Chucky and the horrible Seed of Chucky, I like the fact that this film and the story was taking itself seriously again and not going for comedic parody. I like the self-contained nature of the story and the fact that for pretty much it only takes place over the span of a few days, and also really only takes place in one central location. Admittedly though, the isolated gothic house out in the middle of nowhere is a bit cliche, and the house itself on the inside looks like some sort of cross between a mausoleum and the Spencer estate from Resident Evil.
Hope this is not Chris's blood.
And I think a lot of that was probably due to budgetary constraints, because shooting in one location is a lot easier and a lot cheaper than spreading it out over multiple locations. I actually kind of like all the characters this time around, and I would probably put this on par with Child's Play 2 in that regard. None of them really stuck out as being annoying, unlike, the last film, which was chock full of them. Brad Dourif's daughter Fiona is terrific as Nika. This is the first thing I've ever really seen her in, and she is absolutely amazing, and I really, really hope to see a lot more of her in more high-profile stuff as her career progresses, because I think she has a lot of potential as an actress. Brad is once again solid as Chucky. The humor is definitely scaled back comparative to the last couple outings, but I think that works with the overall tone of the movie itself, which I said before is a lot more in that same tone and feel of the originals. I mean, he's still Chucky, he's still funny and witty, he's just not clown shoes in this one like he was in the previous film. But getting into the plot itself. As I was watching this movie, I kept kind of wondering to myself how and why. Like, how is Chucky back and for what purpose? And I also was having a tough time trying to figure out where this fit in the continuity of the other films, because Chucky has been killed to death so many times before. How was he back here looking kind of normal?
Dying is such a bitch.
Then I started thinking, is this kind of a soft reboot? And maybe only followed the events of the original? But even that really didn't make any sense, because But thankfully that's all answered away, and the reason why he looks so different is due to the fact that he has makeup hiding his stitching and scars that he had in Bride and Seed. Which, okay, that answers that little bit, but it still doesn't fully answer how or why. If this does indeed take place after Seed of Chucky, I mean, we saw at the end of that movie that he got chopped the bloody shit by Glenn, and here he's back as a normal looking doll, complete with stuffing and all that other shit, so
I don't get it.
I don't think it's something that gets loosely explained until the next film. But the reason he is back is to exact revenge on the family that set him up in the first movie, which caused him to get shot and killed.
Shit! Help me! Eddie, don't leave me! God, no!
No, not Eddie Caputo. What this movie shoehorns into the backstory is that Charles Lee Ray had a thing for Nika's mother, Sarah, and while she was pregnant with Nika, she sold him out to the police, which led to his death. Which, fine, whatever, you know, the series isn't above shoehorning in convenient plot devices when necessary. And all of this backstory gets shoehorned into the last 15 minutes of this movie, and I guess it makes just enough sense, but the dots don't all connect. So if they are gonna go through all that trouble to shoehorn all that stuff into the backstory, I would have liked to have seen it be a little bit tighter in that regard. Oh, and plus, we see him once again trying to transfer his soul into the body of Nika's niece, which... I thought we were past this with Seed of Chucky, and, you know, that's the one thing I gave that movie credit for doing, is that he was done being obsessed with getting back in a human doll, but nope, we got a human doll? And now we're back to him being obsessed with getting back into a human body, and it just feels like we're right back at square one with this crap again. Plus, wasn't there a time frame that Chucky needed to do all this by in order to... Oh, f*** it. However, this movie does kind of stumble its way across the finish line, and it is here where it gets muddled with trying to explain everything and trying to cram in an additional backstory to the backstory. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie is still fun. I still had a great time watching it. It's just here where it's like, we just get it across the finish line. Just drag it, limply crawl, whatever you gotta do, just drag it to the end and let's finish this thing. And thankfully it did so before it kind of collapsed in on itself. But now that that's all out of the way, let's toss this thing over to the report card and let's get this thing graded. The story gets a C+, because it's pretty straightforward and simple. I mean, it's Chucky after all. I'm not looking for Shakespeare. However, the inconsistencies of shoehorning in a backstory into an already existing backstory, and then the way this thing sort of diarrheaed it all at the end, and then limped to the finish, I felt were the biggest problems with this movie. The characters get a C+, because as I mentioned before, the ensemble really worked well together. Nobody felt out of place or poorly written or poorly casted, but the standout for sure was Fiona Dourif as Nika. She was just great. The direction gets a B-, because I thought it was pretty solid comparative to the rest of the franchise, and it might actually be towards the top of the franchise in my opinion. You know, it's not completely perfect. For every cool or interesting or creative shot, there seemed to be some rather dubious ones, but for the most part, I think Don Mancini did fairly well. The music gets a B, and I actually really liked the music in this movie. It's childlike but creepy, plus the main theme, at least I think it's the main theme, has sort of a Suspiria goblin vibe to it. However, I thought there were a few instances where the music felt a little out of place with the scene it was paired with. But I'm not going to count that against the music itself because I thought it was actually really good. With those 4 grades combined, that means that Curse of Chucky from 2013 gets an overall score of an 80.75%, which I will round up to an 81%, meaning that Curse of Chucky gets an overall grade of a B-. But yeah, that's it for Curse of Chucky in this edition of the Retrograde. Like I said, I really liked it, and I didn't think I would because this movie was direct-to-video, and, you know, whether you want to agree or disagree, when something is direct-to-video, it has kind of a stigma attached to it that it's probably not going to be that good. But I did think that this was probably theatrical worthy, and I would have liked to have seen it in the theater. But anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on Curse of Chucky? What would you have graded it? Would you have graded it higher? Would you have graded it lower? Please let me know in the comments. And what do you guys think of this kind of revamped retrograde? Please let me know in the comments if you like it, if you don't like it. Your input is valuable. But anyway, that is it. And remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Adios. Now, GTFO!